So, anyways, I took my daughter to the park, and I made her go on a ride. She cried and cried and cried and cried and cried and cried and cried up until the ride started, and then we started spinning around super fast in a circle, and there was rock music blasting and blaring, and we're going up and down and everything, and she said it had the best time of her entire life. Yeah, Daddy knows best.
That's
Anyways,
right.
welcome to the County Fair Review Podcast. I'm Country Boy Christopher. This is Hog Slinger Jay.
I was going to go with the Alabama Boy Jay, but all right. Same thing.
AKA Alabama Boy.
Yeah, there you go. And we are here to review the local fairs and carnivals that come to town, of which I have never been to one. Well, I have, but it was in the 80s.
The 80s.
Yeah. Back when you could actually buy cigarettes out of machines, and if you won a prize at a carnival or something, it was like one of those glass mirrors with Jack Daniels written on it, or some hair metal band.
Right.
Yep.
For me though, it's always been we only got to go to like the Ren Fair or the park when I was out with my family on our vacations and stuff like that. There was never any like county fairs in upstate New York where I grew up.
It's too cold.
Too cold, and well, I think the other reason is that the Great Escape amusement park was up there.
Right. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
And I mean, right now it's a Six Flags. It's freaking huge. It's like 3 parks now in one. Like there's the water parks aspect, there's the like roller coaster aspect, and then there's like the shows and everything. It's a huge place that was actually quite a lot of fun to go to. So I'm like theme parked, amusement park, country fair parked out for the rest of my life. Not being the fact that I can't fit in any rides.
You went on one today? You fit in that one?
Barely, freaking barely.
Barely counts. It counts.
Barely counts.
Yep.
But it was a lot of fun. But speaking of the 80s, all right. I gave you a link to something very spectacular that I found, and I wanted just to kind of like talk about it for just a moment.
Did I see this link?
Yes, you did.
Okay, good. You got to remind me what it was.
I want to talk about this because it was my foray into role playing, and really the only way I could do role playing of any kind of sort, at all. Because like where I grew up during the Satanic Panic, in a heavy religious area, no one would even breathe the word D&D up there. So I didn't get a chance to even begin to touch it until 4th edition came out in the late 2000s when I was in college, and actually I was out of college by that time. I didn't start playing D&D until I was out of college, had my first real job and everything. So the website that I sent you, and it'll be in our podcast chat if you want to take a look at it. It's called Final Fantasy Renaissance.
Oh, that one. Okay, yeah.
Oh my God, that looks amazing. So the concept
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
They took the original Final Fantasy game and rebuilt it from the ground up. Okay, fixing a lot of the old bugs and problems with it, but also basically adding a ton of content. Like all the extra classes that have ever been around for a Final Fantasy game are in there, like Time Mage and Blue Mage and Summoners and Dark Knights and Dragoons and all the things. And it just looks amazing. And like it's taking me back to being a kid. You can download it for free. And like I said, it's definitely worth checking out. But like that was my first role-playing experience. The Final Fantasy games, Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana, that like staple just fantasy genre has always stuck with me. And like I would love to play a Final Fantasy style tabletop.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Sky Raiders. Waiting.
I don't think it's going to be nearly as Final Fantasy as you're expecting. It doesn't really have the JRPG influence.
Well, I mean, like the JRPG influence that it has, the games have now was very different than the ones back then. I mean, it was kind of there, but like Final
It was
Fantasy,
there.
and then like the American 2 and the American 3 Final Fantasies, like it was kind of there, but it still was like gear punk or steampunk or something along those
Well,
lines.
no,
With like,
it's sci. It's like it's sci fantasy. It's
yeah,
kind of like He-Man. You know, like
yeah,
you've got laser guns and mechs, despite there being magic and sort of uh, medieval societies.
yeah. I mean, like I guess Eberron is that setting for D&D, but
Yeah, pretty much.
I would really like a good, solid Final Fantasy, sci fantasy um, game to try. And I'm sure there's probably one that exists from other system. And
Yeah, that's literally what Dungeon Crawl Classics is because it's based on the works of Jack Vance, who wrote
yeah,
sci fantasy.
yeah, maybe I should look him up. I don't know who he is though.
I had never really heard of him until you started talking about the whole Vance magic system. Then I got to looking into it, and I'm actually very, very surprised I had never heard of him because he's very prolific, and obviously he was really important for the creation of Dungeons and Dragons. Even though he didn't know anything about it, but his writings are one of the many things that sort of prompted Gygax and Arneson to go that route.
You know, well, I definitely should probably. What's a book he's written?
Fuck, I don't know. Just look it up, Jack Vance.
I can't. And when I look up Jack Vance, I get some punk rocker music page.
Um,
That's how old. That's how far he slipped into the ethos of role playing mythos.
Jack,
That the
Jack.
first.
All right, Jack Vance, author. Look that up.
Okay,
The
well,
Dragon Masters, the Languages of Pal.
actually, I found my problem. I spelled Jake Vance and not Jack
Oh, well,
Vance.
that might have a
That
lot to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah, Jake Vance does sound like a punk rocker, and Jack Vance sounds like a writer.
Yes, yes, it does. Here is a fucking winner for the sci fantasy we're talking about. Barbarians of the Beyond. The cover is literally a spaceship, but it's got barbarians in the title, so
Okay,
it's definitely going to be sci fantasy.
I gotta find some of those.
Yeah, and oddly enough, because you know what I do for a living, I've never seen one. I've never seen a book of his while out searching.
Really?
Yep, and I don't know why that is. My guess would be that they might just be a little too old. I don't find a lot of books from the '60s, but he was writing well up into the '80s. So I don't know. I guess people who have them just keep them.
Maybe. I mean, there's also so much out there that like I've been kind of interested from a video game standpoint, where like 90 something percent of the video games, all the video games that have ever been made, have been lost to time.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, like you could find a cartridge here and there of games,
Oh yeah.
but they're
Well,
they're talking like anything developed in the 80s is pretty much gone if it wasn't a mainstream Atari or
yeah.
Nintendo
So
system.
so you mentioned that Final Fantasy was sort of your first role playing.
Hmm.
Touching on role play, my first instance of role playing was for the Magnavox Odyssey. And I'm dating myself here, but it was out at the same time period as the Atari 2600. So and it was a game called Riddle of the Sphinx, and I never could understand it because I was a child, and it wasn't fully role play so much as just trying to solve these puzzles, but it still had a storyline kind of behind it as much as a fucking Odyssey or Atari game could. My first real role playing game was Dragon Warrior for the NES, and then Final Fantasy. And Final Fantasy, I got it for my birthday the day it came out, and I literally just spent the entire summer playing it. And just played through it like 6 times. And I tend to play through that game, the original one, every few years. So
Oh yeah.
now I've got a newer, updated version to play through.
My problem is whenever I play the Final Fantasy game and I go back to try to play it again, I always get to the same part in the game where there's a little peninsula, okay? And it's like on like the second continent in the game.
Okay.
And there's a little peninsula and it's called like the Giant Peninsula or something like
Uh
that, or
huh.
that's what
Yep.
people have named it. And just the tip of the peninsula breaks into like two worlds above.
Yes.
So you can go up there and you can fight monsters well outside of your level range. But if you manage to defeat a couple with a couple like well-timed spells and resting in a tent and getting full hit points after every battle, you can fight these giants and kill them, and then just power level your characters, and then the rest of the game becomes a super easy snooze fest.
I mean,
And
it's a lot of the game isn't super fucking challenging anyway.
yeah,
Other
but
than the
I
occasional
always do it.
the occasional mind flayer fight where they just insta kill somebody, which is bullshit.
I've always wanted to play through the Ultima games, the old ones.
I've played through now. When I say number 1 and number 2, realize I'm talking about for the Nintendo. I've never actually played the PC versions, so the numbers are different in the same way that the Final Fantasies are different between America and Japan. But
Yeah.
Ultima 1 and 2, I actually own the cartridges for them. I haven't played them in a long time, but I've played through the games. I don't know that I ever completed the Quest of the Avatar one.
What's a paladin?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah, I saw that and had that kind of memory, and like what's odd, I was kind of thinking about it for a little bit when I found the Final Fantasy Renaissance, is that most people that I know that still play games, okay, and these are like my younger cousins, because usually the kids that I grew up with just grew out of video games around the mid 90s, early 90s, and never looked back.
Yeah, all got married, started working fucking 50 hours a week, and you never saw them again.
Yeah. But a lot of kids' introduction to role playing games is the Pokemon series.
Yeah.
And like that's crazy when you think about it, and it's still going strong. And the Final Fantasy's like been reserved to this little tiny market of just JRPGs, and they're nothing like they were before. And I just kind of like had a bit of longing nostalgia for those. And
yeah, the Final Fantasy ones have definitely changed, but very fortunately, there are so many like bit type RPGs out there that are Final Fantasy esque. They've been created on Steam and literally everywhere.
Yeah, but they not ragging on them, but they all seem to lack a little bit of something, and it may just be youthful.
I think it's you're just old. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've all gotten old, so it doesn't like you can't sit down at this age anymore and play a game from morning until bedtime at night. Whereas when I was 12, I could fucking easily do that.
I mean, my wife and I do have a system sometimes where we allow each other to do that, though.
Oh no, I physically can't. Like I hurt after 4 hours.
Get a better chair, man. Jeez.
I have a great chair. It's just sitting down for that long hurts. I got to get up and walk, exercise. Like right now, my ass is numb from sitting.
You should have ran around the cornfield.
Well, there are no cornfields around here. That's not.
Well, you don't have a city block, so you can't run around the block.
No, I have a nice large backyard. That's usually what I go do.
Yeah, the Mothman's gonna come get you. Great idea.
Okay. Mothman is from Tennessee. I'm in Alabama. Not the same location, bro.
Okay, so what cryptid do you have in Alabama?
That's a good question. Alabama.
Let's Google it. Welcome to Grumpy Dumb and Jester Podcast, where we just Google shit that we talk about.
What? They say Bigfoot.
You got
we don't have any fucking
Sasquatch.
We don't have Sasquatch here in Alabama.
Should be a corn monster.
I have to find the answer to this. This is. I've never thought about it.
Speaking of cryptids, have you ever heard of MetaZoo?
Oh, okay. We have the Alabama white thang, Thang.
White Fang.
Yeah,
is that like Tang?
It's basically a white furred Bigfoot. It's an albino Bigfoot. So, what have I ever heard of? What MetaZoo?
MetaZoo, yeah.
I've heard of it. I don't know what it is.
Essentially just another trading card game that's got kind of popular because Magic is kind of burning out, a little bit, and
not according to the details we heard this week. But go ahead.
But their basis was pretty much cryptids, like all throughout the country, all throughout our like the United States proper. That was like the first set.
Kind of
And then
play
moved on to like
Chupacabras?
space cryptids and stuff like that. Yeah, there's chupacabras and stuff.
Okay,
There's a
cool.
really cute art style, but it's just another trading card game, and
Yeah.
I'm not about to invest in
I've
anything but Lorcana.
I've bought in so many fucking CCGs over the course of my lifetime, of which Magic is the only one that's still around. So I think I'm good.
Are you telling me that the Highlander TCG isn't being still sold in stores right now?
Oddly enough, yes, I'm telling you that. Neither is the Star Trek one. Neither is the Star Wars one. There's probably a new Star Wars one. Neither is Rage. Neither is Jihad. Neither is Hyborian Gates. Spellfire. Like they're all gone. So,
Well, is what it is.
yep. Damn it! I had forgot what we were going to talk, or what I was going to talk about that related to what you were talking about. But
Well, good, because I got more shit. So, anyways,
we got plenty of stuff to talk about tonight. Go
I
ahead.
bought a new tabletop game, new campaign setting.
Did you back the same one I did?
No, which one did you back?
The Crooked Moon.
Oh no, my wife backed that one,
Oh, okay.
and I'm gonna steal that from her when it shows up.
Of course
She's
you
gonna
are.
she's gonna open it up and go, "Oh my god, it's so here!" And we're like, and I'm gonna steal the campaign book
Yep.
and leave the rest of this crap for her, because
It's one
I
book.
thought I talked about this a little bit with Jeffrey Ludwig on Friday, and the Crooked Moon setup, that Kickstarter, bewilders me to this day. Okay,
Why?
I'm gonna read off just what the Kickstarter was and
Yep.
just like the major items that they have.
Yeah, we
Okay.
should.
All right. So Crooked Moon, it finally completed last week. Made $4 million in their Kickstarter.
Yeah, I backed it on the very last day. I wasn't going
Yeah.
to, and then I did.
So in the Crooked Moon, in the campaign setting book alone, it has what they call an all new fate weaving system, which is I believe just a different kind of magic system, that's good. Hard to design, but hopefully it's good.
Yeah.
It's a full horror campaign setting, so a lot of cryptids and like Burning Man and witchy kind of themes, that
It's
era of
it's sort of 1800s horror-esque.
yeah. Has 13 plus dreadful subclasses, 13 plus Halloween theme races. So new races they designed, new
Yep.
subclasses they designed. I'm not sure how far the quote unquote design is, but new stuff.
It's new stuff.
66 plus folklore inspired monsters, 11 plus epic multi-phase boss fights, and I believe those are kind of like you beat the monster down to bloodied, and
Then it
then
gets hit points,
triggers.
yep.
Yeah, so like it's like the Theros epic system or something along those lines. And it takes a little bit to design that. 25 plus upgrading artifact items, 120 plus chaotic curses,
I'm waiting
13,
for those. The
13
curses.
plus
Yep.
fearsome foes, 40 plus strange spells, and a full terrifying adventure from levels 1 to 13. That's all that's in the campaign book alone. Okay. And so I was thinking about that, and
That's
it's
a
like,
lot.
okay, if I had a team of writers, okay, let's just say Wotc had basically purchased that product. All right, you're looking at a number of different writers who have to handle. You have to have a writing lead. You have to have a storyboard lead as well. I mean, just open up any credits page to any D&D book. You have your lead designer, you have your designers, and there's usually like 3 to 4 of those. And then you have rules development on top of that. Okay. Then you have your story consultants. There's usually 2 or 3 people for there. There's editors, lead editors, other editors. Talk about like another 5 people there.
Yeah.
And then you have your art direction, your graphic design, your illustrators, your interior illustrators, another like 20 plus people, depending on how much art you have. And since all the art on that Kickstarter looks absolutely fantastic and brand new, I'm sure they have a lot of illustrators.
Yeah.
And then you have to do like your layout designers, and these are all specialized skill sets. So like maybe someone can like double dip and like be the lead writer and a story consultant, but most of these titles are all individual people. There's not much double dipping. So then you also have to do like art administration, technicians. You have other people that got to go through there, not to mention all the play testers that get involved in doing that, and research assistants that have to help look into things. We're talking like a team of 20 to 30 at least
And
people.
so then they're going to make
Oh no,
now, hold on. So because we'll get to the other numbers later, but that video I sent you where the dungeon professor and the roll for combat guys were talking about actual hard Wotc numbers. They said that they make about Wotc makes about 35% off of a book. So if it charges $50, they make 35% of that. So we can assume that they're going to make about that off of this Kickstarter. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less, but in that range. So what I'm hearing is that everybody that is a part of this team that put together Crooked Moon is going to make like $50.
well, I'll get to that. I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so that I just referenced Waterdeep Dragon Heist for what I just mentioned about job positions. Okay, which is just an adventure. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's just that last bullet point there, the terrifying adventures for levels 1 to 13. Okay. Everything else, all those rules changes and rules making that they have to do, you're talking about another development team there. Okay. For those. Not to mention, probably there's individual development teams for monsters. Okay. And the rules. Okay. Like, whenever they write like an adventure book like the Golden Throne, there were 13 adventures in there. That was 13 separate writers, one for each one, and then all the layout designers and everybody on top of that. So again, you're still looking at like a minimum 30-person team for just a book. There's 3 books there. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're looking at a huge amount of team. I'm thinking like 100 people to make that campaign book.
To make which the
Crooked Moon campaign book.
See, I think you're way off base.
Regardless if I am, okay, let's just say they have 30 people for all that work. Okay. I don't know how to do it less than 100, but they got 30 people.
I'll give you my thoughts on it after you're done.
So then we get down to the stretch goals. Okay. So the stretch goals include the digital PDF of the file, okay, which is not that hard, okay. But then they have an entire soundtrack that they developed for this setting.
Yeah, but they hired a band for that.
So they have to hire another band for that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's another team of people that they have to hire to write something. Okay. So
I want to point out very quickly that song is what sold me that game.
But there's an entire album, not just a song.
Oh, I know. Yeah. But that song alone made them another $150 sale.
Fair enough. So then you start looking at the other tiers and stretch goals, and we'll get to everything here soon. They have a tarot deck that's a custom-made tarot deck for the Crooked Moon. Okay, that there's more art design and finding a company to make that and print that and put that out. The guidebook for the tarot things. So that's another team developing the guidebook. A bag for it, which again probably just they probably outsource that development. Then you have all the VTT digital asset packs that they're designing as well too.
That's a whole other thing.
Probably a lot of that is torn from the art development team. You just put it through a couple things, but someone has to do that work. Also, all the VTT integration. Then we have the 3D miniatures. So it's now someone's designing 3D miniatures for this setting. Okay, and they're providing the STLs. Then they have the deluxe hardcover book, which is another design team person that has to do that. Okay. Then they have a core box, which is a box set for everything. So now we're talking about packaging and development there. We have at least 3 or 4 different sets of free dice. Okay. Like custom, very fancy dice with, Crooked Moon styled, like the moon on the dice or a pumpkin on the dice. Mm-hmm. So we're talking custom dice that probably have to outsource from someplace. Okay. And there's nothing special about the dice except for the glow in the dark dice. Those are special. So who knows how much effort goes into designing that. A cloth map, tactical battle map, 3 reference card decks. Okay. Someone has to be designing all these things and proof of concepting them all out and, talking to the businesses and other organizations to get all this stuff done. Okay. Then they have a bunch of enamel pins. There's like 3 or 4 of those. Okay. So that's cool. And then there's metal dice as well too. And then there's more pins. So I mean, the pins you can just send off to the company, have them printed out and sent to you, but some of these are pretty specific. Then they actually are printing out the miniatures and selling them as part of the set as well too. And there's like 30 or 40 miniatures of their individual monsters. So not even the design of the STLs, but now they're printing them out and hiring someone to do that. Then on top of that, they developed 3 plushies for one of the tiers. So there's like a goat plushie, a what's that rabbit with the horns called?
The jackalope.
Yeah, but it has wings.
Oh fuck, I don't know.
A winged jackalope and a raven. Yeah. Now we're talking about plushies again. More design, more proof of concepts. Talking to another company and doing all that. They're making coins as well too as part of that. There's actually 3, 6, 9, 12 different dice sets that they have that are all custom for this. They have a GM screen, and then I believe at the end the last thing they did was physical monster tokens. Okay, so that's more taking the art assets, arranging them out, setting out to a company to punch them in the cardboard and stuff like that. So all of this, okay, all of this massive project, okay, with all these different teams, different artists, this just massive, massive project is being handled by a team of 8 people. 8 people.
Yep.
Bullshit.
Somehow I don't think it's 8. Obviously.
Shit. Like I'm at this point in time, it's one of 2 things. Okay, either this team, and they're a fantastic team. I've been looking at some of their stuff and their Kickstarter, the Patreon, and their streams. They do fantastic work, and this is a big project for them. I'm very happy of them. But either somebody else is backing this, okay, and providing them all the teams and the assets and the connections needed for this, okay, or 2, none of this is ever going to get done.
Oh, it'll definitely get done. I have no concern about that.
Like, most of the stuff here looks like it's already been like prototyped out and printed, and it's looking
because it probably has. You're all
so someone has to be already. This project probably already had to be done.
A lot
before
of
they even kickstarted this.
Parts of it probably are. Because I don't know a whole lot about this group, but apparently they've been around for years, running streams, and they're a lot of people within the D&D community know who these guys are.
Yeah.
And they have probably been working on this campaign for 5 years, 6 years. Who knows how long they've actually been working on it. So in that time, they have probably been playing these subclasses. They have probably been testing a lot of the magic system, and things have been play tested very heavily by this point, I would assume. Obviously, I don't have inside knowledge.
Right. If you look at their Patreon has a lot of the things like Dragon X was doing, where like we'll give you weekly monsters or monthly monsters or weekly or monthly adventures, it was quarterly adventures and monthly monsters and weekly items and stuff like that.
Sure.
So if they've been doing this for 6 years and this is the accumulation of everything they've been doing on their Patreon, like all is one giant setting, cool.
I mean,
they didn't mention that in the Kickstarter.
Yeah. Well, just
and as a patron of them, I'd be pissed because I just spent all this money getting everything piecemeal to me, and they've basically been, early access playing this game.
But we have no idea if any of that stuff that's going to be on Crooked Moon is on that Patreon. If somebody came to me and said, I need 13 subclasses, get it done, I could have it done in a week. Easily.
I think you're overestimating yourself.
Oh no! I am absolutely not. Now, mind you can't let me finish. Let me finish. I could create 13 subclasses one for each class within a week. That is not setting it out in typeface. That's not going through the editing process. That's not the play testing. That's the creation process. I've sat here and created an entire subclass in 30 minutes. So I know for a fucking fact I can do it.
Yeah, but when you say create a subclass, you have to include the rest of that. You can't just say, okay, I wrote this all down on a napkin.
Yeah.
I'm done.
I'm aware.
You
but
have to have it play tested. You have to have it. Like I created the 3 for my Christmas campaign, and it still took me about a week for those 3 because writing them out is easy. That's not a problem. But I still had to pitch it to you guys, explain it to you guys, test it a little bit, play them a little bit to make sure it actually was balanced. It took me a week for 3.
Yeah.
So you can't say you're going to have 13 done in a week.
I could definitely have 13 in a week. Abso-fucking-lutely. Now that being said, I don't have to. There's no money on the line.
I'll give you $5 if you do it.
Yeah. Woo, let me go work for the next week at 8 hours a day on something that I'm not going to get paid for. Fuck no. No.
I think you're overreaching there, but that's.
I mean, I spent I don't know 20 minutes, 30 minutes today writing up 4 dungeon rooms. I don't know. It's about 3 pages worth of stuff.
Yeah, anyone can draft an outline quickly, but that's not
outlines.
That's like the first 20%.
These are fully fleshed out. Like it,
I think play tested them in 20 minutes.
I mean, I've got 30 plus years of D&D experience.
You still got to play test them.
Yeah, they have to be play tested. Anything.
So they're not done.
No one said they would be done. I made that caveat. That's why everything has to be play tested. But the creation process does not take that long.
I think there are a lot of people who create for a living that would say that you're overestimating. Maybe you can. Maybe you're that diamond in the rough.
Maybe.
But your average person cannot, and you should be utilizing that. I can create 13 subclasses in a week talents to create the 13 subclasses in a week for somebody permanently.
I should, but I'm not going to. I like what I do.
Okay. All right. Anyways,
I mean, we've talked about this a million times. You want to actually work in the gaming industry. I do not, because I like gaming. I don't want to ruin that by working in it.
So anyways, I don't think this team of 8 people are going to be able to get this done unless it's already almost done and somebody backed it.
I think a lot of it was already done.
I know as an individual that I could sit down and reach out and find companies to make the pins and stuff like that, but it would take time. And I think, what's the release date that they're saying for this?
I haven't got a clue. I would imagine sometime next year or probably late next year would be my assumption.
I would not expect this to come into your hands until like 2033.
By that point, they would have.
By that time, Sky Raiders might be out.
By that point, all of their money would have been lost. Because if you spend that much time on a project, everybody's just going to fucking forget about it, and people are going to spend the money, and shit won't get done.
Yeah.
I'm going to check through the emails they sent to see if they've said anything at all about a release date, but I don't believe they have.
So, just as another comparison, Shadow of the Weird Wizard, which is Robert J. Schwab's Shadow of the Demon Lord, light version, the family-friendly version of his very hardcore campaign. He made $400,000 in his campaign, and he's just writing the rule book and I guess an adventure that comes with it. An adventure, rules of the game. Well, that's just a quick play. 10 items. Let me get the details. So we get the PDF. Let me scroll down to the fine print. So this is a known writer, known creator, help designer of 4th edition and 5th edition. So you get his biggest kit was the deluxe book, the PDF. another book that's the secrets. I believe those are the items or something like that. A DM screen, a quest. There's a campaign he's writing as well too, and a coin and a set of miniatures. So we're talking about someone that's been in the industry for years, did a 10th with his setting, right? And I know he has a team of people working on that. And if Crooked Moon was promising me this, okay, I would be understandable that things are going to come out, but there's just a lot there that they're claiming they're gonna have done in a year, and I hope, and I wish them all the best, but I hope it doesn't blow up.
I really fucking doubt that this thing would blow up. Yeah.
When Sky Raiders coming out?
Sky Raiders is a completely different team of people. So
yeah. When Sky Raiders coming out?
I don't fucking know. Sometime this year. Currently it's scheduled for to be delivered later this year, or sorry, next year.
Late next year. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. The well-known authors and creators of an amazing system.
Oh, the book
taking an extra year.
The book is pretty much done. Like it could be delivered within the next few months, I would imagine. The biggest issue they are running into is the issues with the program that they're creating. They're creating some fucking app or program to go along and to team with the Sky Raiders thing. And yeah, when you start doing stuff like that, it can get it can cause problems. Just ask Wizards of the Coast how their VTT is going. So
Sky Raiders.
Yep.
Have you used the have you tried their little dungeon map system yet?
Who? Sky Raiders?
No, on D&D Beyond, the digital maps.
I couldn't even tell you the last time I stepped foot on D&D Beyond. Like, I don't go there.
Well, you should. That's where all the D&D news is.
For all the D&D that I play. Oh, wait, I don't.
But yeah, the system is decent, but it's lacking a lot of features. I was like, hey, you got 1 week. Make it so I can put all these maps online. And they took all the maps straight from all their books and just like put them online. And the maps are just not meant to be used as VTT maps. And they're just like, here, throw them up there. Everything's great. We're all done. Clap, clap, clap. Let's go.
Yep. Everybody pat yourself on the back for hard work.
What's that? Stock price is at a 19-year low? Shit.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Did you ever watch that video?
No.
Okay. Well, I should have sent. They had a 15-minute clip. I say clip. It was like an hour and a half long video, but they did a 15-minute section of it or so where they specifically talked Wizards of the Coast numbers. Mm-hmm. And I have at this point have forgotten a lot of it, but it was kind of surprising to me. Everything within Hasbro right now is pretty much just it. The only thing really and truly making money is Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Like D&D is D and done. They're not making hardly any money. Hasbro themselves, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but I want to say it's they have a valuation of like 600 billion or some shit like that, and they owe like 595 billion. So like those numbers are definitely wrong, but it's something of that nature. They owe damn near as much as they are worth. And as a company, that's not going to guarantee you go out of business, but you're going to have a hard time getting credit. You're going to have a hard time, moving things around if you're that bad off on your debt. So like they're in a serious state right now, and D&D is not performing. Toy sales are abysmal. I guess that's probably the best word. And they're literally being held afloat by Magic the fucking Gathering.
It's really weird when you think about it.
and which is hilarious because I mean, I know so many people who have walked away from Magic recently, but obviously it's still doing very well.
Well, I mean, Lord of the Rings was fantastic. They're burning through all the IPs. They're burning through all the IP stuff right now, which is probably generating a lot of cash flow. Like Warhammer, Lord of the Rings, Marvel cards are coming soon.
Oh god, I
Um,
saw that. Oh my lord.
so like the Doctor Who was the most recent set. Um, and like hell, I bid on the Doctor Who set. You know,
Yeah.
but I'm not gonna do a big investment. I'm gonna buy the products that I want and not buy anything else. Um, I will say that from watching a couple of card stores in this area, and of course, Synergy Gaming, people are still playing Magic every single day. When I go in there to play D&D, and I get my 3-5 people tops, um, there's still like 20 or 30 people playing Magic. Sometimes Commander, a lot of Pauper, a lot of just a standard kind of like standard rotation Magic.
Yeah.
Uh, Release nights always sell out pretty well.
Yes. Yeah. I would imagine. Like release nights are going to still continuously do well. Nobody buys packs of cards or boxes of cards unless it's a collector's thing, really. Or if it's for draft, obviously people will buy that. So in general, like you're going to have a set release. People are going to buy a lot of cards, and then you're not going to have anything for a little bit.
No, for D&D though, I did remember see a little bit about the sales numbers, and from a book selling standpoint, it's not doing good right now.
It's like 4 million a year or something they bring in,
Yeah.
which is
So, but
not.
that's but
Yeah,
that's selling them to distributors. So they got rid of distributors recently, so that's going to start bringing a little bit more money. That doesn't include the VTT sales that they've been getting out through
yes,
D&D Beyond. And now that they own it and it's not licensed out to somebody, they're going to make more money off of that. And they're not including any toy sales. I'm sure D&D as a brand sells lots of money
sure,
in
yeah.
toy sales, and that's not included in that figure as well either. Whereas Magic the Gathering doesn't have any toys; it's just a cardboard. So I think
Which is weird.
D&D as a brand, I think, is doing fine, and it'll be around for forever.
D&D the brand is doing just fine. I think.
Yeah,
I don't feel like that's an issue. It's just D&D the game. And I
well,
think
I mean,
it will pick up next year when 5.5 comes out.
maybe.
Almost certainly, because people, every time a new edition comes out, doesn't matter what they call it, when a new edition drops, people buy the shit out of it.
Yeah,
Baldur's Gate also has had oddly enough, Baldur's Gate has brought in a lot of fucking players. Yeah, like people who never knew anything about D&D but play video games. Definitely were some people that found out about it through that. Baldur's Gate was phenomenal.
I'm
I
really
don't
surprised they didn't put out a companion book to
to Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate. I mean, I guess that was the sent to Avernus, but not really.
No, that was
But
a few years too early.
I don't know. I actually bought the Hit Point Press Humblewood box set
Yeah.
since I keep seeing the ads for the imperfect setting that they have. I guess they had a bad print run, and they're setting in a bunch of stock that's just like, oh, the images are a little blurry, and some of the rules aren't correct.
Oh,
Buy
that's
these bad books for $10. So I bought a couple books.
well, okay. That sucks for them. I mean, that's lost money, or at
Yeah.
least they're not making any money off of that.
So I mean, when you look at the book, like the print was it's a little like little fuzzy, but it's not unreadable.
Yeah.
And they put a sticker on the front
I mean,
cover saying, "Hey, these are the rules changes since we got this print run done." So
Wotc would have just released that book and said working as intended.
no, they definitely wouldn't do that.
Are you sure? Because apparently there are a lot of fucking issues with the Deck of Many Things book. or the Book of Many Things. The
Well,
deck, the deck of cards that they're releasing are warped. They're miscut. They're not the right size. Like, you can't release a deck of cards that's not all the same fucking size.
Well, yeah, that's why it got delayed, so they can reprint all the decks. But the book itself is fine.
Sure. I haven't seen the book, but yeah, I hadn't heard.
I mean,
I haven't heard any issues about the book itself. So
yeah, I was actually we were playing Ravenloft, and I was reading one of the descriptions of one of the rooms, and it was supposed to say sturdy iron latch, but for some reason it said study iron latch, and it tripped me up on the stream, and I couldn't read it the right way and kept messing up, and then I was just like, oh, this word is wrong. That's why I can't read this.
It's not
correctly.
me. I've been reading some Eberron novels that I've got that I'd never read before. I was reading
Yeah.
Thieves of Blood. It's the first book of the Blade of Flame series, and I don't know. I am at the beginning of chapter 6, and I've counted at least a half dozen typos in the first fucking 5 chapters. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a Wizard of the Coast product. It obviously it's from the probably early 2000s, but I guess even they back then were having issues with shit like that. Like, I expect a couple typos in a book. I see, sure, but that many already?
So whenever when I was a technical writer, one of the things we had to work out with the final product was how accurate the book had to be acceptable. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you can never write something that'd be 100%.
Yeah.
If you do, you spent too much time on it and you obsessed over it, and you probably lost some years off your life.
and money, because it took too long to come out.
Right. So a lot of the most lenient I ever had was 95% accuracy, which is great. But that includes, like, not only just like word and grammar, but also the functions of the user manual had to be correct as well too. So that's why it was 95%, because sometimes the instructions are wrong,
Yeah, right.
But when it was just writing, it was always like 98% or something along those lines. So, I mean, I haven't really read The Curse of Strahd back to back, but I found one spelling mistake so far. So I actually have it here. I'm going to read it real quick.
All right.
It's the room K30, the King's Accountant. Okay. Dusty scrolls and tomes line the walls of this room. More scrolls and books lie scattered on the floor around 4 heavy wooden chests fitted with study iron locks. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be sturdy.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep looking at that iron lock.
Let's study the study lock.
I'm gonna keep sturdying it.
I certify it. But yeah, it messed me up on stream. And it just like I can't read. I can't word. I can't, and I just lost everything.
So I wanted to talk, since the book is coming out soon, about the Deck of Many Things.
Yeah, the Book of Many Things and the Deck of Many Things.
Have
the Deck of Other Things.
Have you ever used the Deck of Many Things?
No, I never will.
Smart. That's probably smart. Some people fucking love it, and I have played in games where it became the game. Like, it became the whole fucking reason for the campaigns.
It's the adventure. The adventure, like, if you draw from the Deck of Many Things, either your players are going to win or the DM is going to win.
Or your campaign's going to end. Yeah, like, it never goes well. So let me read the Deck of Many Things from 5e, because I don't know how it works in 5e as opposed to what I'm used to, the earlier editions. Usually found in a box or pouch, this deck contains a number of cards made of ivory or vellum. Most, 75% of these decks have only 13 cards, but the rest have 22. They've dropped the numbers, actually, I think. Before you draw a card, you must declare how many cards you intend to draw and then draw them randomly. You can use an altered deck of playing cards to simulate the deck. Any cards drawn in excess of this number have no effect. Otherwise, as soon as you draw a card from the deck, its magic takes effect. You must draw each card no more than one hour after the previous draw. If you fail to draw the chosen number, the remaining number of cards fly from the deck on their own and take effect all at once. I'm glad to see they left that part in. Once a card is drawn, it fades from existence. Unless the card is the Fool or the Jester, the card reappears in the deck, making it possible to draw the same card twice. So in general, like most of these cards aren't absolutely terrible, but some of them just your character's fucked or your character becomes way more powerful. I doubt, and I haven't really done the comparison between the second edition one and the fifth edition one. I would imagine there's some big damn differences. Let's see, the Donjon card. You disappear and become entombed in a state of suspended animation in an extra dimensional sphere. Everything you are wearing and carrying stays behind in the space you occupied when you disappeared. You remain imprisoned until you are found and removed from the sphere. You can't be located by any divination magic, but a wish spell can reveal the location of your prison. You draw no more cards. So that immediately just removes a character. Doesn't matter what level your character is, you're just fucking gone. The one other thing that does prompt is people to draw more, because if you draw the moon, you're granted 1d3 wishes. Which in 5e, whatever, wishes, not that big of a deal, although it would let you find somebody grab with the Donjon card. Second edition, you were able to do 1 to 3 wishes also with that card. And there were very few limitations on wish in second ed. Way, way more powerful. Let's see. Here's one. The Idiot card. That's pretty much anybody who's drawing from this deck. Permanently reduce your intelligence by 1d4 plus 1 to a minimum score of 1. You can draw an additional card.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Yeah. I don't know. In general, as a DM, I think playing around with that deck is just a surefire way of ending your campaign early. I've played with too many players over the years who will draw a card and then they'll draw another card and they'll draw another card and they will continue fucking drawing until they're just out of cards.
Yeah, so just draw all the cards and
just grab the deck, throw it across the room, and let them all take effect.
And you use one of the wish spells to say, I wish that only the effects that I want to happen to me from the deck were to happen. Right?
Maybe that might work.
Maybe, I don't know. Depends on the DM. I don't like cards. I don't like the randomness of it. I think it'd be cool to take a card from the deck and make a campaign around it.
Sure.
But I think the person has to know it's a deck of many things before they draw a card.
Yeah.
So you can't have someone draw from the deck. But you could have a cool sleight of hand artist basically. Use a deck of many things and put the card he wants, the one that you're going to draw, and then you draw something and become imprisoned and they steal you away, and that's the game, that's the encounter, But I don't know. Other than that, I never saw the appeal of it, and that maybe it's just a personal thing because I don't like to take massive risk, and most of the stuff here is massive risk.
There are players who fucking love it. Me as a player, it would really depend on my character whether I would ever touch that thing. I've definitely played some characters who'd have no issue drawing from the deck. And I played a lot of characters who'd be like, hell no, and all of us need to leave.
Yeah, I'm looking at the cards and there's one good one for every 3 bad ones. Why?
Yeah. There's the one
the
that
gem
summoned...
card, for example, is just 25 pieces of jewelry worth 2,000 gold pieces each, or 50 gem versus 1,000 gold pieces each appear in front of your feet.
I mean, that's
50,000 gold. Whatever will I do with that?
Well, what level are you? And
doesn't matter.
I mean, that's
if
50,000 gold. You can buy a fucking keep. You can fund an army with that.
If you're level 1 and you get 50,000 gold, okay. First off, where does 50,000 gold come from? Okay, was it created out of the ether? And 50 pounds of material that's now added to the material plane?
That's wholly for the DM to make up those kind of decisions.
Or did 50,000 gold from the local, gang, the local cartel will go missing. And now you're walking around town spending 50,000 gold. That cartel's going to come looking for you. And they're going to break your ankles. And they're going to break your legs. And they're not taking the fact that you just drew a card from a deck to get it. They're going to want to know how you stole it, who your accomplices were, because no one can just steal money from their vault.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's an idea, but you've just created an entire storyline from that. So
Yeah,
that's
so like
that's
no,
actually
thank
a
you.
proper use of it. That's a good use of it.
No, thank you. Someone pulling the moon card and casting 3 wishes that are detrimental to the world, and you basically have to travel and get them to use their last wish to undo everything. And maybe I don't know. You gain the service of a 4th level fighter who appears in your space. Ooh.
I mean, if you're first level, that's pretty good.
Yeah, but if you're 10th level,
well, you got your henchman, you know.
I guess henchmen are good.
He can carry your
A
stuff.
rare or rare magic item appears.
Yeah, that's
GM chooses the weapon.
Yeah, a rare magic item. Big whoopty, unless you're first level, and it's kind of nice.
Yeah, all these things here are just like terrible, which is why they made a deck of many other things. I can't look at them yet because A, the page doesn't load properly in D&D Beyond, and B, my pre-order is still processing my payments for the last 3 weeks, so I can't even look at things. I know, right?
Real quick, my favorite of all of the Deck of Many Things ones is the skull. You summon an avatar of death, a ghostly humanoid skeleton clad in a tattered black robe and carrying a spectral scythe. It appears in a space of the DM's choice within 10 feet of you and attacks you, warning all others that you must win the battle alone. The avatar fights until you die or it drops to 0, whereupon it disappears. If anyone tries to help you, it summons an avatar of death to fight that person. If you are slain, you cannot be restored to life. And they've got the stats for it. Let's see, how bad are these things? It has half the hit point maximum of its summoner. Incorporeal movement. What kind of damage? It only deals 7 damage. Plus 4 necrotic. So this thing's kind of weak. They were way more powerful than the earlier ones.
And then the Avatar of Death doesn't even give a challenge rating because he's that terrible.
It's just challenge rating 0. Although it would be a little.
No. The challenge rating is ... It just says 0 XP.
Oh, 0 XP. I'm sorry, I got that wrong.
Yeah,
I don't have the stats.
I could have this thing
one.
just behind me for the rest of my life, and I wouldn't die.
Yeah. Oh no! It touched me again.
Only took 11 hit points gone. Ooh.
No.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the deck of many other things, or many more things.
That's the one where they're adding a lot more cards to it.
Another 20 cards that are actually, and I can read this much of it. It says, over the centuries, since the first deck of many things was created, many have sought and failed to replicate it, but some have created new cards. These 44 additional cards are known collectively as the deck of many more things. And then there's 44 new cards. But unfortunately, I can't read it off yet because my payment's still processing. But
so we're getting 44 more cards for a deck that you really shouldn't ever use as a game master anyway.
Well, like I said, like if you use the deck to create a story or add to the story, like you can make the deck and say there's only positive things in this deck. Okay. Draw them, and those will be a reward for this massive campaign from the gods. Okay. Cool. Or some evil bad guys like, hey, I'm going to reward you. Here's the deck of many things. Only positive things are in it. Everybody draw your cards.
Yeah. I definitely believe you, Mr. Villain. Let's do this.
Summon a Terrask. What?
I hope that's one of the cards. I really fucking hope that's one of the new cards.
Maw of the Beast. Summon a Terrask, a Kraken, and an ancient dragon turtle.
Yes.
Purification all at the same time. They battle until one wins.
Yep.
Which will probably be the ancient dragon turtle, if you think about it.
3 monsters enter, 1 monster leaves.
That's a better question for this podcast. What 3 kaiju do you want to have duke it out in Waterdeep?
Well, you just named 2 of them.
Ancient Dragon Turtle and Terrask.
Yeah, definitely. There's a Pathfinder one. I've talked about it on here. You could add that one into the mix. It's a giant fucking like stone golem that has laser beams. It does. We talked about it on here. I don't remember what it was called, but that thing was badass.
I was just actually just thinking, it's like this giant arena pops up, and like all these like legendary monsters get summoned into this arena to duke it out to see who's the best. So you have a Terrask, you have an ancient red dragon, the ancient dragon turtle. You know, you have a giant golem colossus of some crazy, the demigorgon. You know,
Yep.
and then just like Zucknut goblin. Ah! And oddly enough, Zucknut probably would win because he would immediately just hide.
He'll wait until there's nothing left and then hit whatever was left.
I win! Yeah!
All he has is one casting of True Strike ever. Fucking yeah. Yeah, that would be fun. You need to write this one shot. Make it happen. Just
Bet on Zucknut.
Yep. Call it Skull Island. They all just get together there and duke it out.
I don't know. I just a lot of the book. I haven't looked at the details yet because again, payment processing. But it just feels like this is the last book of just like leftover things that they have thrown together that they're talking up a lot for people to buy. And like I bought it, but I'm not interested.
You buy everything 5e though.
Well, I kind of yeah. Except for Critical Role.
Well, yeah, but that's sort of an offshoot. Like all of the core Wotc books, you buy all of them. Did you ever buy the Eberron one?
Yeah, I got the Eberron one.
Okay.
I'm more interested in like the other books that they've been coming out recently on DM's Guild.
Yeah. What was the one you bought the other day, or at least somebody linked it?
There was the guy that wrote Binks and Moo's Guide to Villainy.
Yeah, that one.
He came out with another new book here. I can pull it up here in a second.
Somebody also linked a manual of the planes in our chat group.
That's been around for either it just came out and has been around for a while. I can't remember which.
Yeah, I had never seen it. Mind you, I don't really follow that. Yeah, I don't follow non-Wotc ones that closely, so I could have easily missed it.
Well, what was interesting about this is when looking into the interview, it was I think the book that came out was called Chains of Asmodeus, and it is a book from the guy that wrote the first two Baldur's Gate, that created Minsk and Boo and created a lot of the Baldur's Gate lore. This is basically his campaign setting, or his adventure, and you travel through the nine hells to save your soul. That's the kicker line. Now, when you look at the publisher of this book, is Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah.
So he's actually like this offshoot development branch at Wotc who wrote these books. So he wrote Heroes of Baldur's Gate, which is a bunch of like NPCs in Baldur's Gate and locations and stuff. Minks and Boo's Journal of Villainy, which is just Minks and Boo talking about a bunch of people. And now this adventure for Asmodeus. They're essentially official Wotc products. They're not being sent out to stores. They're not being hailed advertised as products. But the publisher is Wizards of the Coast. I think that this was them testing the waters on print on demand books and digital books. And if you look at Heroes of Baldur's Gate, he was a mithril seller for that. Minks and Boo's Journal of Villainy is adamantite seller. And this one is also coming out here soon to be print on demand. And this book actually is levels 11 to 20, by the way.
Yeah, I did see that. That actually got me interested in it. It's still an adventure, so I'm not going to buy it. But just simply the fact that it starts where most of the campaigns are ending, I like that.
So James Olin's the guy who wrote this book, or was the lead of the book. There's a lot of other people that helped him write it, um, and he just has free reign to kind of create content for 5e, and be an official Wotc product. And I'm up for this. This print on demand offshoot that they're trying. I'm all for.
Yeah.
Like
I don't-
the second this becomes available, I'm buying it. I'm gonna buy his Heroes of Baldur's Gate 2 just because, just to have his like little collection of
Mhm.
books. But the Minx and Boo book was great.
Like
Lots of lore, lots of stuff in there.
my preference is always going to be for them to release it to the mass public. Print it, sell it. That's my preference. But I understand why they don't do that. You don't make a shit ton of money on a lot of the books and everything, especially lore books like this. So if this is the only format where we're going to get stuff like that, I'm okay with them putting their weight behind it and getting it out that way. I really wish they would advertise it. That would be nice.
Yeah.
But, not just for me, but so that everyone else sees it. I'm going to see it just because of you guys.
Yeah. The Manual of the Planes seems interesting as well too. It's compatible with Adventures in the Multiverse. I believe some of the writers were involved with this. But like this is the book that Christian from last week's episode wanted.
Mhm.
And I have the 4e book. I'm kind of curious, depending on how much has actually changed from the 4e book Manual of the Planes and
Yeah.
the 5e one.
Yeah, I couldn't
But
tell you.
it's I wish they would go back to how they were releasing books with fourth edition, because like the Manual of the Planes that's there is the expansion. You explore the world access, which was actually introduced in an adventure on Keep of the Shadowfell when they first came out. And so like all their adventures and all the lore books all like tied together and everything. Um, which I thought was a really kind of cool big undertaking, and I really wish they would kind of go back to that, but who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. There's a lot of things I wish that they would do differently, but we've got what we've got, and if we want to keep playing D&D, well, we're gonna have to take what they give us.
Yeah, I'll take what you give me. Come on, I'll get you.
So that's okay. I've got all my second ed books and my third ed, and I got all the 5e stuff I need if I ever decided to run it again. And with
So you
Crooked
can
Moon, I
buy
probably will.
so you can buy the Manual of the Plane PDF from first edition, which is an Astral Dreadnought.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I know the
Um,
art. I'm very
yeah,
familiar with that art.
really cool art. And then
I think
I
it's
don't
Jeff
see
I think it's Jeff Easley. That's probably, is it first or second ed actually?
a second ed Manual of the
Yeah, I
Planes.
don't think there was one actually. I think
So
yeah.
the third edition Manual of the Planes follows their kind of like everything's a cool tome looking feel, with just like weird monodrone or something like that on the
Yeah,
cover.
it is in fact Jeff Easley art.
But then the fourth edition Manual of the Planes is another Astral Dreadnought eating a ship. So I don't know why they don't have another Astral Dreadnought book, but I do have the Astral Dreadnought mini now. So
I mean, truthfully, I think every manual of the plane should have a fucking astral dreadnought on it, because when you're in the planes, that thing is fucking terrifying.
why can't that thing show up and destroy the world? It'd be great.
Ah, yes, the wizard flying, trying to get the hell away from that thing on the first edition cover. That's
No, I'm
very
saying I
iconic.
want it to show up outside, like in space, like right now, like over the East Coast. And like,
Oh, just take it, just kill. Well, they're not that big. I mean, look, that thing's, yeah, they're large, but they're like the size of a house. They're not. Yeah,
they're bigger than a house.
that
They're
thing's.
like,
Look at the art. The art shows it for the first edition one, because that's the original. That's the authentic one. You can see the wizard, who's going to be about 6 feet tall, and then you can see that thing behind him. That thing's about the size of a
it's
house.
perspective. Look at the fourth edition cover. That's a full galleon there, and it's like the galleon's the size of like it's like the bottom of its like little clipper claw.
Yeah, but fourth ed came way later. That's not the
Listen, I
original.
got the model. Okay, I got the model. It's a
Uh,
without the wingspan from all the Tiamat, it's about as big as Tiamat is.
Let's see. Hey, all right, now let's pull up the 5e Astral Dreadnought. I want to see what size they said it is.
Gargantuan.
It is gargantuan. Okay. Well,
which could be anything from 5 and bigger.
Yeah. Let's see. First edition. I don't know if I'll be able to find
It
it.
has a room in its tummy that's 1,000 feet wide.
What?
Yeah.
I don't remember how big gargantuan was in
5 or
earlier
bigger.
in earlier editions. Okay, 2e.
Actually.
Yeah, they are still they're gargantuan in second all the way through fifth. There was no first edition one apparently. Huh, weird.
Yeah. I want
But
to ask for them to show up on the East Coast. Like, snip. They're taking people out.
Anyway, apparently they lack any sort of digestive system. Thank you, Wiki.
Yeah. Because they eat you, and then you
go to a
demi
demi-plane.
The Don John visit.
They don't even kill you. They just, yeah, you go hang out somewhere.
Well, whenever they eat you, you show up in a demi-plane. It's 1,000 feet long in diameter. It's a stone cave, 1,000 feet long with 100-foot high ceilings.
But you never want anyone to kill that dreadnought because then it vanishes.
Well, you throw it. You get expelled if he dies.
Oh, okay. You're probably reading something different than what I'm on. I'm on the wiki. So.
Well, the wiki's not right.
Yeah, I know. The wiki's often wrong.
All right. So I'm going to enjoy my Owl book once I get it. Sky Raiders. See you in 2033. Crooked Moon. See you in 2033. And I'm going to go eat a candy apple. Sitting there waiting for me.
Oh, hey, real quick. Did you remember the 5th of November?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm not British.
Exactly. I don't know why everybody keeps posting memes about this fucking movie that's, 15 years old now.
No, Veterans Day's on Friday. Remember that one.
Yes, that's an important one. Much more so than the 5th of November where some dude blew up some shit.
The Parliament.
Yep. Well, I don't know. It's over in Britain. Anyway, we're out of here.
Going cultured.
Bye, Craig.